gives me like energy is it's the fact that you can save 25 years of expenses in less than 25 years if you do it smartly. So that just blows my mind.
Welcome to Learn With Us, brought to you by 3o3andyou. We are a team of 4 non-financial advisors who are exploring a revolutionary new financial approach that goes beyond money to prioritize your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Through weekly meetings and engaging podcasts, we strive to help you improve all aspects of your well-being as well as ours. Come join us on this journey of growth and self-improvement because at 3o3andyou, we believe true wealth extends beyond dollars and cents. Happy learning!
Hey guys, welcome back to Learn With Us, brought to you by 3o3. Today we're going over part 2, Financial Freedom, in the book Retire Before Mom and Dad by Rob Berger.
What up?
How's everybody doing? What's up, Alita? Nice intro.
How are we all doing today, guys?
So, part 2. We're finally getting into the good stuff.
Financial freedom.
One of my favorite parts, at least.
See, the secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage.
I had a good way to break us into this. I was thinking, what is financial freedom? Who wants to try to tackle that beast?
Well, according to what the guy says,
No, according to your before. Or not, you can either do before or even now, how you would.
financial freedom is when I can choose to no, when all of my expenses are covered by passive income, so I can choose to work or not, because I will be okay regardless.
To me, it's when money just be falling into my pocket. I go to look in my pocket, I'm like, oh, there's another dollar. Where did you come from? And I can do what I want when I want.
No, I think it's financial freedom equals choice of working, not working for money. It's working for
Yeah, you're gonna work because
what
you
you
want
love
to
or
work.
whatever they call it.
Work because you
Amanda,
want
what's
to,
your
not you
thoughts?
have to.
Yeah, do what I want when I want.
Seems like he agrees with us.
Well, he tells you in chapter 8 what financial freedom is not.
That's how he starts, yeah.
Financial freedom is based off of your expenses, not your income.
That's a
Wow.
good point.
No, and that, I mean, I don't think I even fully have grasped that yet, because every time I hear it, it kind of still like hits me a little. It's like, if you want to retire and all you need is a yard and a house and some food, then you don't need $10 million. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, how
for
much
some
do you
reason,
want
I
to
still have
spend?
that number glued in my head.
How much do you want to spend? Do you want to spend 1,000 a month, or do you want to spend 10,000 a month? I mean, that really matters. Says, so what is financial freedom? Ultimate financial freedom comes when you can live off of your savings and investments without the need to work. It's as simple as that, which is true.
And then he gets right into the best part, well, what I feel is the 7 steps, because that is financial freedom every step. And that helped me a lot too, because, you know, we always say make your small goals, but, you know, you're saying you need, like for us, it was like $1.2 million to be financially free. That's a huge goal
Is
to be
that for
shooting
both
for.
or per?
For both.
Just in general, yeah, for both of us to be done. The first step is 1 month. Well, oh, nice. We already have that invested. So it's like we're already walking up the right ladder, the right steps, as you want to say.
Yeah, you're already almost there in a way.
And yeah, and it's only 7 steps.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, 1 is done. So now it's 6 steps. Like that's, you know,
Yeah.
it's nothing. Who can't walk up 6 more steps so you can do whatever you've been doing again? I like how he's like, oh, well, when you get up to the 5th step, it's twice as much, but that's because by then you should have your money ready and working for you so much that it's not a question of if you're going to have that coming in, it's coming in. Like you're going to double your money every 10 years, as we say.
I just wanted to say a little part about the beginning of this chapter about how what financial freedom is not, because I like how he talks afterwards. He says it's not a fat paycheck. It's not a big house. It's not the shiny things that you can buy. Talks about people and how they present themselves to be financially free or even just to be rich with all the things that they have, whether they've charged it, which more than likely they have, because it says, here's what you don't see. It says you don't see them freaking out about how they will make their monthly payments, because who would post an Instagram picture of that? And you don't see them stress out at work because they may not get their quarterly bonus. And you don't see them lying awake at night worried sick that their financial house of cards could come tumbling down at any moment. And I just feel like most people who have things who don't understand actual financial freedom have a ton of debt attached to it, which just comes with stress. So even though they have all that nice stuff, they're like chained down.
Yeah, because as you're saying, it's not like they bought that with cash. That's the big difference. If everything is bought in cash and it's yours and you own it, then you should be like, wow, that guy, I'm pretty jealous. He paid for all that, but that guy who bought that all in credit, it could literally be repoed away tomorrow. Just like your job. He loses his job, he loses his truck, he loses all his toys.
And then he makes a point that even if you are investing, if you still are charging things on credit and you have a bunch of credit, it matters on your savings in the long run, because by having to pay off those monthly debts, that's less than you're able to put into your financial freedom fund.
No, that's the biggest part of this part too, is that it's what you spend. That's like the biggest deal is it's
not
what you spend. It
It's
is
not what
not
you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
absolutely like, and you need to quit telling yourself, oh, I like he was saying that life is short and people are like, oh, so you got to blow it, but it's not that short. You can't, 10 years can turn into the difference between, or $10, I mean, not 10 years, but that $10 can be the difference between 10 years. And that like blows my mind when he gives us all the numbers.
So this is going to be a weird question. Just in everyone's, I guess I just want to know your opinion. Once you become financially free, whatever your age, doesn't matter. This is a hypothetical question. How long do you think it will take you to experience and do all the things that are on your bucket list, so to speak? Like what does it say? Like beans now, steak later. Like if you're
I don't know.
saving
I
for
feel
the
like
big
you're gonna be
stuff.
doing your bucket list forever.
Yeah.
Like if your bucket list is sailing or just say
that's
traveling,
that's
just
the
traveling,
thing.
just traveling, then you're gonna probably travel until your health doesn't allow you anymore, or until you just get tired and want to settle down, I guess, and not do it. Which
So if so for example, your goal when you're financially free is to travel.
Mhm.
So for in that example, you think it would be never ending because there's never ending places that you can travel to.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it depends on what your long term is.
No, but to go off that is that you could also, well, it doesn't matter. We could do whatever, but you could start traveling 5 years sooner. Think about all the other places you could hit up finally that you have more time for. You're like, no, it's going to take us a year to get over there, but oh, we got a year now. Let's do it. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, that's a good point because
I don't know. Would you consider it? Well, I guess it would be a bucket list, but I feel like once you're financially free, it's like a lifestyle.
But no, you can do it before if you make it your lifestyle while you're on your way to level 7, then it's still doable because instead of rent, you're paying gas. Instead of electricity, you're paying for parking meters. I don't know. So or
But it's all
still,
about expenses at the end of the day, how
yeah,
much you're spending.
yeah,
I guess without really thinking about it, my
and
first thought
saving,
was
spending. I'm sorry, spending and saving.
I guess without really thinking about it, my first initial thought was just that after you, like, for example, I say I don't want to travel, say I have no interest in traveling, it's just not my thing. Then the couple different things that I do want to do that I can't do right now because I'm, still like working and all these other things, I'm going to have those done in like 5 years. And then I'm just going to be sitting around.
Okay, I don't want to be rude, but my answer is that I think you're thinking too small because you don't have the mindset of what it would truly mean to be financially free. Like you're like, oh, I could go on a shopping spree. Well, that's gonna get boring after a day. But you're like, we could go buy houses if we do it right. Like with the right money, you could.
I think you would find stuff that you could do.
Mhm.
Like maybe it would be like think about it when your kid is older and he's doing more sports and activities, you will be able to be at every single game.
But I kind of want to hear Amanda's point fully though, because I feel like there's more to it.
Not really. I mean, that was pretty much it. I get what you're saying. And I wasn't really thinking small like a shopping spree. It's just say your goal is to, have a camp and sit there and order DoorDash all day long and go kayaking till you die. Well, I just, even after 5 years of that, I just feel like you'd be bored. But I suppose you just come up with a new goal.
A lot of people that are, I guess you would consider that like retired, kind of sort of in a way. A lot of people that are retired, they'll pick up little part-time jobs to have something to do. So I mean, maybe you decide to still work, but it's because you want to for enjoyment.
That's what it seems. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just feel like for some people, they would get bored of trying to find things to entertain themselves. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. I guess
think of myself,
because you might decide to pick up gardening. Like, what if you decide you love gardening and you're like, wow, I have 30 hours a week to put into my garden, and I love doing this. You wouldn't be able to do that if you work a 9 to 5 job all the time, but you have this time because you're retired.
Good point.
It doesn't even have to be a hobby, though. It could be a way to even make more money.
Well,
like
I was
a
just
job
gonna say, I
that
totally
you can now take the risk because you're not doing it for the cash. You're doing it
like with
for
that
an experiment, basically. You're doing it because you love it and you think it's going to work.
Like with that, yeah, like with that example though, specifically gardening. So say you did that after a few years, and then word spreads around, and you're like the famous, gardener on 32nd Street or wherever you live. Before you know it, you're going to end up starting a business, because if you're that passionate about it, you're going to want to share it. And it's just like before you know it, you'll be back to work just doing something that you love. So I guess it would work out one way or another.
I personally know someone who started with a plant and now he has like 100 and could very easily start making profit out of his hobby if he wanted to. Plants, especially, I'm surprised at how profitable they can be.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with a girl at work tonight about I don't know, a relative of hers that started with like one small thing, and 9 months later he had to like go buy a whole kitchen to like do everything because he couldn't handle the orders. It was a cool story.
Like, yeah, the customers were
plan.
begging him for work, and he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Best kind of problem to have, I guess.
Should we get into the steps?
Absolutely. We got a super sidetracked there.
What, Connor? Why do you like the method or the strategy of 7 levels?
Well, like I was saying before, I think it's mostly because it gets us hope. They're reachable levels, I feel like. I mean, even though by the time you get to the 3rd level, it's still like, I need 6 months of my life saved up. That's like, that's half a year. You expect me to be able to just, like, I could quit my job for half a year? That's a big goal.
I get you, but at the same time, listening to it earlier, if you calculate the time that it took you to save the 1 month, and then you times that and figure out the 6 months, and then you think about it in long term, which is probably like less than a year, or maybe just over a year, it's not that long.
Plus, we got to start adding the 9%. Or he says the true is 4.
No, that's to use. That's a different rule.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it's 9.
Just one thing I think that is really important, because we're not going to touch too much on the actual numbers of things, but numbers really matter. So, and when you understand them, then you won't be intimidated by any of this anymore. It's actually super simple, and it's really cool.
This is one of the books I definitely recommend that you actually have to go pick up. Like, no matter how much we talk about it, you have to see these numbers, because it's the only way it's going to make the most sense.
True.
They truly, like, once you see it on paper, it opens your eyes. There's no way to describe it.
So level 1 is 1 month of expenses, and there's also a little note in this one that says, according to the study by the Federal Reserve, 4 in 10 Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency with their savings. In other words, most Americans have not achieved level 1 financial freedom, and level 1 is only 1 month of expenses saved.
I wonder if that's even true as of right now. I feel like it's probably inaccurate with everything that's happening.
That is so crazy. It really is, because if I drive around all day long and see people and look at people, and they look like they are more than well off enough to be able to afford a $400 emergency.
No, I think right now is 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's absolutely insane. But 8 out of 10 people drive a $50,000 vehicle, and
that don't mean that they have emergency funds put back.
That's what I'm saying.
The car is their emergency fund.
And also, just because you look rich doesn't mean you are rich. Like,
Yeah, you can fake it till you make it.
You're just hurting yourself.
All right, level 2 is 3 months of expenses saved. You now have enough money in the bank to handle most emergencies. Level 3, 6 months of expenses saved. It's at level 3 that you've gained some confidence. It takes commitment to have 6 months of expenses. It requires discipline and persistence. If you can reach level 3, you can reach level 7. Level 4.
I have a question real fast. This says, I get what he's saying, but if you're counting your investments towards this, correct? That's what he's saying?
No.
No, he's not.
Oh yes, of course you are. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
It's part of
it's an
your
expense.
savings.
Yeah, you're paying yourself, so it's still a payment that you have.
So if I had a whatever it is, a $400 emergency, then this book is expecting me to withdraw it from my investment account? Question mark.
Does he say that?
He never says
No,
that.
but she's got a good point there
That's why I'm
because if
asking.
I
there
think
is
he
an
does.
emergency,
I
but
think
you're
he
not
says
supposed to touch
invested.
it.
Yeah, I think he says invested.
Well,
Oh.
saved, invested, put aside.
Either, yeah, they're all.
Your total
But
money.
you should have your money
all
working for you,
together.
according to everything we know. So,
But that's what I'm saying though, is if your money's supposed to be working for you and I have to pull $400 out of $400 employees out, then like,
Well, he
or
does.
so should your savings be separate from your
Yeah,
investment?
so he does. So okay, I see what you're saying. So let's say you have savings for health. He does go into different kinds of saving accounts because there's a like a health account that you can use to deposit your money that you're going to be using for for health, and and that functions differently than just a regular 401 or whatever Roth RIA.
Okay, so you think he plans for his I guess I'm just
I guess you
I
can
guess
do
Yeah.
whatever you want. You can
No.
either have your own emergency fund put aside, but I mean, if you have it invested, it's still like a savings. Just pull out $400.
Yeah, I'd rather invest it. I can always borrow against it, I think. No, maybe not, but I'd rather invest it.
Well, that's in stock.
at the end of the day, I think it should always be working.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
It's one way or
at the
the
end
other.
of the day, even if you do have to pull it out, then yeah, it should still be working for you for the
Up
small time
until.
that it's there. Yeah, no, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
All right, level 4, 1 year of expenses saved.
But
Level,
hold on, I wanted to mention I don't think he does include your savings though. So if you're saving $400, it's not included in the expenses because if you're saving 60% of your income, it's not 100% of your income that are your expenses. It's never like that. It's always a fraction of your income. So you see what I'm saying?
well, and you're only taking a percentage and putting it in your, or like
Because
paying yourself in your
I mean,
percentage.
Amanda, I thought that you asked whether the amount of money that you're saving is considered an expense in the book, and I said that it was, but I think I know I'm wrong now.
I
Not
don't
that it was an expense, that it be used
Yeah,
as something you're risking, basically, because nothing is guaranteed. Or is he considering having that money saved up that you keep pulling out in a separate, like you have 6 months saved up in a different bank account, is
I
what
mean,
she's
yeah, you
asking, or
can.
6 months
I feel like you
invested.
could. I mean, because you have, 5, 10, 20% that you're putting aside every week, every month of your pay to your investments, and then you could have an emergency fund separate. But regardless,
so
he talks
maybe
about
it's
both. He says savings and investments.
so
Yeah.
regardless,
okay.
those are
So it's a
going
little
of it.
mix. All right, I get you.
All right,
Yeah.
so level 4 was 1 year of expenses saved. Level
Wow.
5 is 5 years of expenses saved. Level 6, 10 years of expenses saved. Level 7 is 25 years of expenses saved. And at this point, you could pretty much call yourself retired or financially free. I guess
Yeah,
financially free is the better term.
dude. So I've reached level 3. I think 3 times. No, 2 times. This will be the second time. The third time.
Oh, but then you end up
Yeah, I
using
use
it
it. I
for
use it
other
exactly.
assets.
That's
I
yes,
hope.
exactly, exactly. That's what it was used for.
I don't want to assume anything, but I hope it's being used.
But now I know that next time I'm not. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to use that
Oh,
money.
you're not
Yeah.
taken from it. No more dipping
No, I'm
from
gonna
the
find different ways to get money,
To fund your emergency.
no, not his emergency, his new
assets.
assets he
Yes,
wants to buy, but he doesn't want to use his
because right now I've been saving
cash.
to buy assets. Yeah.
He wants the assets to buy assets, basically.
Now I'm gonna find a way. That's it needs to be.
25 years, but I mean, if you're on this path 25 years, you're like, oh, is that enough saved? But that's 25 years that is working for you too if you do it right. So it's not like, I know he breaks it down eventually into the 4% that you'll take from it, but
Yeah.
I
In a later
think
like
chapter, we'll figure out how you can just live off of your, what is it called? Your passive income.
passive
Yeah.
income.
and I think what's something maybe magical, or at least something that gives me like energy is it's the fact that you can save 25 years of expenses in less than 25 years if you do it smartly. So that just blows my mind.
It is kind of like, yeah, magical. There isn't another.
Because according to this book, if the market stays at the average that it's been for the past 100 years, once you get to those 25 years of expenses saved, then that's it. You can do whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be 25 years if you do it smart. It can be less, or it could be 45 if you just do it at the minimum.
No, he says that a lot. It's not like there's either a right way or a wrong way. It's your way. It's
There's
your
many
life.
Hmm.
ways.
Yeah, that's important. That's very important.
So he says before we move on, there are some important observations we need to make about the 7 levels of financial freedom.
Oh, like it's a journey, not a destination. I like that
Yeah,
one.
that's
It's
number
kind of
1.
it's kind of
Mhm.
cheesy, but it's true.
But it
It's
works.
true because after you realize, holy cow, I have 1 month of savings. It it is magical. It's like a spiritual experience. It's so
I mean,
weird.
That's what I
You cannot
said.
describe it.
It pumps me right
well, and
up.
I feel like, because, when I was younger, I've been living paycheck to paycheck, and that's like when you do get that 1 month of savings, it is like a weight lifted off your shoulders because you can be like, wow, I can breathe, and if something happens, I have money to cover it.
No, that's the biggest part is that your boss now isn't your number one in priority, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Number one priority is because you don't want to do something and you really think about it, you're like, oh, but I got to keep this job. No, you don't. You have a month to go find a new job.
I wouldn't
I have
recommend
Like,
a
that's
thinking
a
like
lot
that,
of
but you
power.
could. Yeah, yeah,
No, but I'm just saying it's a weight,
that's true.
it's not your first card to use, but it is a card that's there to.
and Rob even says an example in the book about how he at one point experiences um he walks in, he's working somewhere, and his boss is being such a jackass to another employee, and he thinks about it, and he actually stops and struggles and realizes to himself, I could walk out of here if I want to, because he's like 6 months financially free, but he doesn't. And then he says, like, I don't know, like 2 years later or something, he ends up quitting and retiring because he stuck it out. But so even just having that choice is awesome.
That's true.
So
But I wanted to point. Go ahead.
I was trying to find the actual post so I could read it straight from the post, but I'm pretty sure I remember what it says. And I don't know if this is 100% true, but this page that I follow, it posts a lot of like businessy stuff. And it was saying that, because you guys were talking about, oh, you could go find another job. Well, I just saw this business post that said, when you find out that if you stay at a job for longer than 2 years, you are likely to make 50% less over your lifetime.
Oh man.
I agree
Dude,
with
my
that.
stepmom got that message. She's a lawyer, and she made it her hobby to look for new jobs. It's weird,
Well, and I
but
believe it, because if you stay at the same job, they're either going to cap you out at how much you can make, or they're going to be like, oh, you've been with us for 6, 7, 8 years. Well, we'll give you a 50-cent raise once a year, versus you go work somewhere else and you might get a $10,000 increase as soon as you start.
And here's a gold watch that cost us $200.
I'm trying to not choke on my words right now, like waiting for my turn. So,
we all get our turn.
Wait, before
so
Amanda
a good
goes, I
example.
have more to say. Just kidding, you can go, Amanda.
I have like 4 points and I've forgotten them all. No. So the most recent point is that I'm not going to say which businesses because I don't want to,
Yeah, leave out
whatever.
names.
But in reference to what you just said, okay, there's a business that right now their cooks, their top cooks, whether they've been there for 5 years or 1 year, they make maybe $18 an hour to cook on the line. Okay. And then there's another business 15 minutes away, and their cooks starting out, which whether, whatever, their cooks starting out make $23 an hour on the line.
Whoa.
And you wouldn't even know that if you stayed at that place.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, because if you could literally just like dip your toes in around other places just to make sure that, because with everything else that's going on, that you're not worth more somewhere else, but because you've been somewhere for so long, your boss is basically just taking advantage.
At this point, it wouldn't hurt to call around. Is guess what you're saying, because you're right. Like there might be a sign-on bonus at the least. People might be in a worse situation where they're like, oh well, you could come here and we'll give you an extra $1,000 just to come
Well,
today.
I know there's places, because I know of one very specifically, that have had people working for them for years, full time in the summer, working extra hours for them. They will pay them less than the brand new people they have coming in.
For sure. Especially because you're not supposed to talk about it.
Do you know that there's no law or anything that says you're not allowed to talk
I
about
know.
it? That's like your boss's
It's an
courtesy.
unwritten law.
That's not a thing.
All right. Well,
Well,
long
the thing
story
is
short,
that you're not
18.
supposed to boast about your income. That's
Yeah.
the rule.
But why can't you talk?
You are allowed to
without
discuss
boasting?
your
Yeah,
income.
I'm just saying yeah, I think that
No.
people do talk about it. You're just not supposed to.
Okay, but let's just
Your
do the math
employers
really
come up with
fast.
that. Your employers are those come up with that. So basically, in other words, it's saying, hey, don't be afraid to change jobs every couple of years if you can find something
And
better for yourself.
if you could get an extra $5 an hour at a job 10 minutes away from where you work now, 40 hours a week, what's that? 5 times 4 is
200.
8 plus 200. That's an extra $200 a week just because you haven't bothered to look. The job's the same no matter where you
That's an
go.
extra
If you're
$800
staying,
a month.
that's ridiculous.
If you stick within your what do they call
Yeah,
it?
that's what I'm saying. If you stay within your same
Your skill set.
Yeah, that's just
job description,
staying in the same job description, not even getting an extra skill.
just exploring around, that's crazy. That's your investment money right there. You don't have to do anything different. Just change jobs or just change employers.
The 7 levels enable you to monitor your progress.
And
I think
then
that's.
third, financial freedom has nothing to do with your income.
I like the second one. I like the levels because it makes it sound like a video game. You can totally draw anything with 7 levels.
No, that was my whole point of liking it. Anyways, is that it makes it something that you can see, reach.
I like it kind of the same thing, because you're not saying, oh my gosh, I need $1 million to get this, or like the example on this one page, it's like level 7. On the example on the next page is 300,000. So you're not sitting here at 0 saying, oh my gosh, I have to come up with $300,000. You're going step by step. So it's like 1,000, 3,000, 6,000, 12,000, 60,000, 120, and then finally you hit the $300,000 mark. And so it makes your goals obtainable.
For sure. I was also thought before you even hit level 1, if you want to like shoot for something, because this made me happy, was that I don't know how much you have in bills every month, but if you can manage to pay all of February's bills in January, it's like this really weird feeling that you get knowing that you're $600 a step ahead. Like it's so amazing to not have to worry about when your due date is, because you've actually already paid it even just 30 days in advance. It's a really, really cool feeling. And that's just a small goal.
The third one is almost the most powerful one, to me at least. Third, financial freedom has nothing to do with your income, and that is a hard pill to swallow because everyone's like, I just need that bigger job, a bigger job, a bigger job. But No, because it's not about your job. It's how much money your money's making you. It's how much money you got saved up. It's how much you got. It's all on you. It's not about the income coming in.
Oh, the fourth point, levels of financial freedom do not include anything about debt. I like this point.
This was interesting. I don't know if I fully agree with him, but
I think I do agree with him, but I want to hear what you have to say.
well, it's just that he's talking about bad debt. He hasn't
That's
made
true.
the distinction yet between bad debt and good debt because I'm of
Yeah,
the team that believes that there is a that you can use debt in a good way.
I agree with
But
that.
when you're first starting off your financial journey, I feel like you need to think of debt
But
just as a evil thing until you understand everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't have it.
Yeah, I feel like he's.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like he's talking about pay off those
yeah,
messed up
School
credit
I
cards you
agree
have.
because if you listen to what he says that debt is, he's saying that you need that money to pay off your monthly bills. And I feel like the debt you're talking about would pay itself plus
Eventually.
give you some. So
Mhm.
even though you're right, he doesn't actually say it is two different kinds. Which anyways, the point he touches on that is that it's really, even though you think it's all right to have debt for whatever reason, if you have to pay $500 a month towards your credit cards, even if you are saving and you have stocks and whatever you need, that $500 is $500 less than what you're putting into your savings into the stocks.
Yeah, in the other chapter, he calls it the slingshot effect.
Comes with our superpowers.
It makes a huge difference. It's like it automatically doubles its value once you get rid of it. It's like the best investment, basically, getting rid of your debt in a way, because it'll double its value once you start
I feel
investing
like
that
it's
money.
almost gets to a point where you're going to be like scared of, well, like, what do I do with this? Like, I have $1 million, like, and then now I have $3 million. Like, what?
True. Dude, I think that's why the richest man in Babylon, because the richest man in Babylon, let's face it, it's the most basic introductory concepts to finances. That's what it is. And then they say the 10% investing or saving, the 20% for paying your debts, it's always greater than what you're investing because they recognize the value. It's going to be greater in once you get rid of the debt because
Oh,
of the slingshot
absolutely.
effect what Amanda just brought up.
Yeah.
I was wondering why they kept it simple. Oh, these ones are getting complicated.
Fifth, you reach level 7 financial freedom when you have saved 25 years of expenses. So, what's special about having 25 times your annual expenses? The answer has to do with what's called the 4% rule,
That's the
which we,
goal.
That's
yeah,
the last step of the secret.
and
Yeah.
we'll go over that more in a couple more chapters.
But for a basic breakdown, the 4% is what you're supposed to be living off of from your expense or from your investments, correct?
Yeah. Oh, and then he gives the math equation. Like, let's say we spend $50,000 a year, then that means to reach level 7, we multiply 50,000
By
times
25.
25.
That's so simple though, because now you can, after you get done doing all the math, you're like, oh, how much do I spend a month? Well, now you got to do that, times that by 12, and then just times that by 25.
Yeah. And that's basically the same because 4% of that total is going to be 50,000. So 4% of your total financial freedom fund is how much you spend a year. Important number. 6.
Number 6 is the 7 levels give us a compelling framework with which to understand decisions we make in our everyday financial lives.
Yeah, he brings up the rule of 857,
But we didn't
which
go
would
over
be
that.
how much. Yeah, that's how much money you would have in 10 years at 9%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's $5, makes you puts it in perspective because it's not just $5. It's
It's
five
not
dollars
just
and
that cup of
8 cents.
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cup of coffee plus the 9%. And that's the big deal. That people don't ever add that 9%. Like, it's just $5.
He does bring up something though that kind of makes it. It's like the counter argument because he says, "All right, so let's say you're tripping over a $5 cup of coffee, which actually, let's face it, now it's like seven.
It's seven.
$7.
And some change.
So that's $7 cup of coffee. Okay, now this is one extreme. If you're LeBron James, $7 is not going to really make a difference. What would make a difference is, let's say, 3 million or 1 million or 100,000, 10,000. A number like that would actually make a difference. There's that number, that 10,000 or 3,000, also exists for us. Like, really, there's a point. Let's say it's $20. Like, if you take a $20 bill and you can just spend it, that could be your $3,000 or whatever, your $7 for LeBron. Are you see the point that I'm trying to make? It's like, why can't you have that $20?
Well,
So are you saying like, so this is the latte thing, right? That we were talking about. So it was $5 for the latte, and then after 45 years or something, it was
I think it's 10.
no. Wait, let's check it. It says latte factor, 45 years. It's $150 a month, and if you had invested it for 45 years with a 9.3%, you would have just over $1.2 million. So that was at $5. So I did the math for myself because I don't drink coffee, but I go to McDonald's, which my McDonald's trips are $15 usually a trip, which I wouldn't go every day. So it's not really accurate because this isn't every day. But I did the math on it and it was almost like $4 million, I think, in McDonald's. I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, I'm never going to be able to go to McDonald's again because every time I buy a $4 cheeseburger, I'm going to be like, this is $1,000 cheeseburger.
in 10 years.
It makes it. The numbers do create an impact
They really do.
for sure. I guess that was a good example of how you're using the levels to impact your day-to-day decision making, which is at the core of what it means to be financially responsible.
7, the levels of financial freedom are not spread out evenly. Which that's what I was talking about earlier, is that you get to a certain point where your money's just going to start doubling. And that's why he's not thinking that it's going to take you the same amount of time it took you to save. Or I guess he is thinking, actually, he is thinking that it's going to take you the same amount of time that it did to save $4,000 that it's going to save 40 because of the way everything's going to be working out, and with the 9%.
Yeah, and at the same time, you just get better.
It's
at
just a
saving.
law. You have to at that point.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Sorry.
yeah. Like myself, a year ago, I wouldn't be questioning my choice of burritos.
No, for real. I question every dollar I spend now. And I will still spend them like I will still waste dollars, but I consciously waste them.
Yeah. Well, there is a quote in here. I can't find it, but he does say something about saying, "I'm not here to tell you you can't have a latte."
Oh,
But
he does.
where's the quote? I can't find it. This is in a couple more chapters, but he does say, "It's an important point, and I'm not here to tell you to stop drinking lattes, watching Netflix, or taking vacations. What I am here to tell you is that the best thing money can buy is financial freedom. With every dollar that comes into your life, use a portion of it to buy your freedom. With what's left over, drink as many lattes as your heart desires." In other words,
Boom.
you don't have to deprive yourself from everything, but you should at least invest a little portion of every single dollar that comes into your life.
So I can
No,
still
he is
have
kind
my
of saying
McDonald's.
stop spending lattes.
Nah.
Because you'll be able to have lattes every day. Or another way to
Yeah.
think about it is that you'll be able to afford the lattes. It's not a question like, can
Or
I
yeah, like
scrounge up that
Yeah.
$5? It's you could
investing.
have 10
He's
lattes
saying,
that day.
yeah, he's saying buy your freedom and then buy lattes. That's what he's saying.
All right. Well, to be
I
negative,
Well,
believe
he
in him.
literally
I trust
said,
him.
"With what's left over, drink as many lattes as your heart desires."
and I don't want to be negative because Connor hates it when I'm negative. But if you don't let me have my cheeseburgers now, when I'm 60 years old, I'm going to have like high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and I won't be able to have my cheeseburgers. So now,
So it's a
so
win-win.
now what?
And now you get to live an extra 10 years and spend even more
So now I
money.
never get to enjoy it.
You never were going to in the beginning. It wasn't good for you.
Well, that's why you invest a portion of it, and then you can still set some aside for your guilty pleasures. It's literally what he says. He says that multiple times
I
in the
definitely
book.
like that better. Yeah, I like that.
I'm just saying it because I feel like people are gonna stress, being like, "Oh my gosh, I can never have a coffee. Oh my gosh, I've had a busy day at work, but I can't go buy me anything that's quick and easy to grab because I'll be eating out." Like, no, I can't take a vacation. That's not what he's saying.
Look, if you want my opinion, but
They do if they're here, Juan.
it's all right. Exactly. So it just find the compromise. That's what you have to do. Compromise, but make it a decision. Don't make it an emotional one too. Make sure that it's a decision that you made out of a discussion.
So just go buy it 7 days a week because you have the money in your pocket.
But you don't
Invest
have the money in your pocket. That's the deal. It
that
should be.
money.
It shouldn't ever be in your pocket. It should be working always.
I agree with Connor. Oh yeah, that's a good quote. Chapter 10, emergencies. It starts with, there is only one kind of shock worse than the totally unexpected. The expected for which one has refused to prepare. Mary Renault.
Murphy's Law, isn't that what they call it?
Yeah.
Everything bad that can happen will happen, so you should be preparing for it.
Do you have a
I'm
simple
sorry.
way of explaining the slingshot effect? Because when I read it, I just go, okay, I don't really know how to explain it.
Oh, this is the one with the.
Well, he's saying the concept stems from the idea that, let's say, well, okay, whatever you make, if you're saving 10%, it means that you're spending 90%. If you're saving 20%, that means you're spending 80%. So out of those things that you're spending, then if you start looking at them, and let's say you see debt, whenever you get debt out of your spendings and then you add them to your savings, then their value immediately doubles. So not only are you not down 100, you're on top 100.
It's a win-win.
It doesn't just, yeah, because it doesn't bring you to zero. You're not, oh, now I'm at zero.
No, it brings you
Suddenly you're
plus,
at 100.
brings you
Yeah,
extra, positive 100.
exactly.
And you
And
don't
that's
miss
the
that
slingshot
money
effect.
because it's already being spent on bills.
It was exactly, you always spent it, so now you won't miss it when you start saving it.
Yeah, and the less you spend, the more you save. So you're automatically losing or getting less debt, but saving more.
That's like the snowball effect when it comes to paying off your credit cards, right?
Yeah, it's like a
Like if you pay off one credit
like
card,
a compound.
yeah. Like you take the 500, you've paid it off, and then you take this. You don't spend that money on anything. You just apply it to another credit card plus your minimum payment. So you're like compounding your payments.
Look, so he puts it in perspective. So he says the slingshot effect. Now that we mentioned the slingshot effect and how getting rid of debt not only brings you to zero but puts you on the positive. So he says that's why, or that is a perfect example of why you should look at money from a long term perspective instead of a short term perspective. He says, for those that save 5% of their income, so if you're only saving $50, okay, I'm making this complicated. So for all those saving only 5% instead of 10%, it's gonna take um, to get to get enough money for their emergency fund or level 3, it would be 9.5 years. If they only save 5%, which means if they spend 95% of their income, it will take them almost 10 years to get to level 3. But if they save 20%, which means if they only spend 80%, it would take them 2 years. So
So how long for 30%?
1 year. That's nuts
That's my goal.
when you think about it.
I think we're at like 17%. I want to get to 30%.
So I think a good goal, yeah, that's a good goal. So that means it would take you 2 years to save 1 year of expenses. A better goal should be 1 year of expenses in 1 year. That's kind of
Try
hard.
that with inflation.
Maybe.
No, that's just an excuse.
That's nuts. That's crazy. Yeah, 10%. If you save 10%, it would take you 9 months to save 1 month. So it basically would take you almost 9 years to save 1 year. That's long.
And if you need 25 years, that's undoable.
Yeah,
25 years saved.
but yeah, I like that effect, the slingshot effect.
I think that's all the main parts.
Yeah, I think we did play everything. So, what's your goal right now, guys? What are you aiming towards when it comes to, let's see, couple points of views? It would be, where would you be, or where would you like to be when it comes to the steps, and then at the macro level, and then at the micro level, like the changes. I think you've already mentioned a few of them.
I guess right now we're trying to get to the third level. Or no, we're still shooting for the we're still shooting for the second level.
The second is 3 months.
Yes, so we only got a month and some change saved up. And then for us, our major one was TV. Was our major changed, which ended up being, I don't even want to do the math, but it had to have been over $50, I'd say, a month. Coming all out at different weeks, so it never seemed like a big deal. But once we added all 5 streaming platforms together,
Yeah, it was more like $75 a month.
That's a big step, dude. That's almost $1,000 a year.
so yeah, that was a huge one for us for sure. What about yourself? Do you have a major thing you cut out that?
I was just thinking that I don't think we've made any decisions like that
I think we should extend that question to the audience that you just asked.
for you guys in the audience. What do you think about these questions?
And either hit us up on Hear It on Podbean or YouTube, both of them, or the email is always down in the comments. That's the best way to get a hold of us, is through the email.
In the description.
We'll
Or
read
just leave
them
a
all.
comment and see what your goal is.
Yeah, we'll read them all. We might not answer all of them because time, but we will read them all.
Or leave a comment saying what your goal is that you're trying to reach. Are you trying to get the 1 month, 2 month, 3 months?
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week. I'll see you all here back for Retire Before Mom and Dad, Part 3, Buying Your Freedom.
See
Yeah,
you
thanks for
guys.
joining.
Peace out.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion and found it both informative and entertaining. Please stay connected with us and continue the conversation on our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also catch us on most podcast platforms and catch up on previous episodes. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd like us to explore in the future, we'd love to hear from you, and you can reach out to us via email at 3o3andyou@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends and family if you've enjoyed what you've heard. We will be back next week with more engaging topics and insightful conversations. Until then, take care, stay curious, and happy learning.